I'm going to share my screen because I just realized that I forgot to tell you something. If you notice, the IR verb is similar to the ER verb in everything but the nosotros. This right here, the nosotros. The nosotros with the ER verb is the E. Hemos, comemos, right here. Hemos, so it's O, es, a, hemos, and. With the IR verb, it's O, es, a, just like the ER verb, but with nosotros in the present tense, hemos. So it breaks that E. It's hemos, just like the ear, the I here, and then N. That's important. Okay. All of this is important. If this is the way they do it in Spanish, then it's important, right? It's important. Okay, so, oh, and by the way, to form a negative in any of these verb tenses here, very easy. Let's say you want to say, I speak Spanish, hablo español. And a lot of times you don't need the subject pronoun because the ending tells you, hablo español, hablas español. Here you might, because it could either be él, ella, o usted, habla español, hablamos español, ellos hablan, ellas hablan, ustedes hablan. So here you might, depending on the context, sometimes you don't even need it here. But most definitely here, you don't need it, unless you want to emphasize the fact that I speak Spanish. So when you say, hablo español, in English, that would be I speak Spanish, versus yo hablo español, which means I do. Stop doubting me. I do speak Spanish. You're emphasizing the fact. So it's like a punch. I do. Otherwise, you don't need the subject. And this is the subject. These are the subjects. Okay. But to make it negative, no problem. Hablo español, no hablo español. Hablas español, no hablas español. Come la comida, no come la comida. Right? Nosotros no comemos la comida. No comemos la comida. Just put no and then the verb, and you're fine. No do or does or ne pas, like in French and all this. Just put no. So that's a consolation, right? It's good. Okay. Let's do it. So this is a simple past tense. In Spanish, it's called the Preterito. It's an action that happened maybe once or twice in the past. That's important because there's another tense. We don't really have it in English, not as a separate tense so much. So it's different. But let's just say this would be like, well, I'm going to show you right now. So it's I, you, we, they, he, she, it. It's all persons. All persons. No separating between the I, you, we, they, and then second line, he, she, it. It's all persons. Plus the simple form of the verb, which is talk, and then on the talk, hook on that ed, and you got it. I talked. And it's not talk head. The only time you add on an extra syllable if the word ends in D or DE, T or TE, right? Wedded, WEDDED. And sometimes you have to double the D. We'll talk about that later. That's not so much irregular because it's a rule. If the word ends in a D, a DE, a T, or TE, that's when you add the second syllable ed. Otherwise, that ED is sort of like a soft T sound or a soft D sound. Talked, I talked, you talked, we talked, she talked, it talked. Okay, Now, to make it negative, it's a little bit more complicated, but just listen to the rule and you see it's not complicated. Just listen to the rule. You use the past tense of the verb do. Remember the present indicative? You had I, you, we, they do not talk. He, she, it does not talk. Well, to make it negative, in the simple past tense, it's I, you, we, they, he, she, it did not. Did is spelled D-I-D for all persons. You don't have to worry about if it's for I or for you or for they or for she or for it. It's all persons. I, you, we, they, he, she, it did, then not, and then the simple form of the verb talk. When you're doing the negative, you never use anything other than the simple form. Always the simple form of the verb. And you know what the simple form of the verb is? It's further up, so you can always go back and look at it. That's the past in English. Not terribly difficult, I would say. Now let's look at the pretérito in Espanol. Yeah. So you have the AR verb. So the AR verb, once again, you use the simple form of the verb, and here are the endings. And remember, this is regular. This is regular. A, with an accent. That accent is important. Otherwise, it can be misunderstood for another conjugation, not congregation. This is not church, conjugation. So it's A, haste, O. That O is really important. I mean, that accent on that O is really important. So you don't get it mixed up with the yo form of the present tense. Amos, just like in the present indicative, it's the same. So there you do need context. Ayer, hoy, siempre, anteayer. Ayer means yesterday. Anteayer means the day before yesterday. So I need to know whether it's the present or is it the past. Is it a presente indicativo or is it a preterito? Because it's the same as the present tense. And then Aaron. So it's hablé, hablaste, habló, hablamos, hablaron, Aaron, hablaron. Right? So it's, I'll do it again. It's hablé. You hear the accent on the E. Hablaste, habló. The accent on the O. In a video coming up soon, I'm going to explain accents. It can be long, so that's why I'm not going to do it here. Otherwise, I have to explain everything. So I'm going to explain accents, but accents are important. It's not the same as in French. Hablamos, hablaron. So that's the preterito, but only for the AR verb. So you have to, yeah, you're going to have to memorize A, haste, O, amos, aron. You have to memorize that. Yep. Just like people have to memorize our pronunciation and our rules, and there's other things too, and homophones and homographs, and it's spelled the same, but pronounced differently, spelled differently, but pronounced the same, all of that stuff. Remember, each language is its own world, its own culture, its own history. Now we're talking about the ER verb in the past, in the preterito. So we're talking about the verb comer. We remove the ER. And here it goes. And it's iste, io, imos, ieron. Now notice, here, the ending in nosotros is Emos, not amos. Emos. So it's comí, comiste, comió, comimos, comieron. I really don't need the yo form. I really don't need yo or tú or nosotros because the endings tell me. If I see the word comemos, then I know it's in the present. If I see the word comimos, I know it's in the past because it's an ER verb that has the emos ending. Now, like I said, unless the context tells you, you might have to sometimes put the el, the ella, usted comió, or ellos, ellas, ustedes comieron, because all three have the same endings. All six have the same endings, I should say. Okay, so it's comí, comiste, comió, comimos, comieron. Okay. Then let's look at the IR verb. The IR verb, here's the endings, the same as the ER verb. But with the nosotros, with the IR verb, the context will tell you whether, or you're going to have to make the context tell you whether you're talking in the present or in the past, because the emos is the same for nosotros, for IR verb, in the present and in the past. So it's BB, bibiste, bibió, bibimos, bibieron. So I'm doing the be, chica, y, be, chica, and then the endings. The I, the I-S-T-E, I-O, I-M-O-S, I-E-R-O-N. In Spanish, it would be, for yo, it's E, acento. Tú, it's iste, él, ella, usted, yo, y-o con acento. Nosotros, imos, and ellos, ellas, ustedes, hieron. Okay. So that's the preterito. I think I'm going a little bit long. So this is a presente perfecto, present perfect tense. Yeah, because that is a little bit involved. So I'm gonna say goodbye. This is our third. So we did an explanation looking at the AR, IR, AR, no, AR, ER, IR. Then we looked at the present indicative. Now we're looking at the preterito. And next we're going to be looking at the present perfect tense. Okay, so we can keep it in order. I want to thank you for coming to my page, for coming to my video, for subscribing to my page, for subscribing to my videos. Thank you very much. And I'm going to stop sharing. And I hope, leave a comment. And I hope you continue coming to my videos and to my pages. And please comment. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye.